Eruvin Daf Chav Beis, a number of shout-out emails. One to Mordechai Sapaznik. He says he loves the pictures. Tzvi Shir from Baltimore. He likes the new Progress Bar. A big Talmud Chacham, Rabbi Yaakov Ben Tzion Trieger from Borough Park, and Penny Gilden from Passaic. You should all have tremendous Hatzlacha. We're continuing with the Agadah that says in the pasuk Kfutzoisav Tal Talim. The locks of hair, we could also learn Kfutzoisav as Kaitzim, as thorns, in plural. All the tagim on top of the letters can be learned and derived from many halachas, tile halachas. Who's zoicha to learn tile shel halachas? The end of the pasuk. Shchayres ka'iriv. Those who are black like a raven. You can learn shchayres as shachris ka'iriv ma'iriv. Those who get up early and learn till late at night. Those who do the daf in the morning and the evening. Or those who blacken their face, they're mashcher their face like a raven, like the Chachamim, who literally have black faces. Rava says those who are cruel to their family, to their children, like a raven is cruel to their own offspring. Talmid Chacham dedicates so much time to learning, he's kaviyachol, cruel to his family. Rav Ada, says the Gemara, went to learn Torah. And his wife says, what's going to be without children? Who's going to give them food? And he says, what? There are no more vegetables in the swamp? Feed them swamp vegetables. The Gemara says, if the pasuk didn't say it, we wouldn't be able to say it. It's kaviyachol, the Rebbeinu Shalom has something stuck to his face and he wants to get rid of it. When he has a chayiv, if a Rasha does something good, he pays him off immediately, so he doesn't have to give him the real sachar in Olam Haba. We say this, and we're going to say this a lot in the Yomim Neroim, Erech HaPayim. The Chayr should say, Erech Haf. Akash Baruch Hu prolongs his kas. Why plural? The Gemara says, because Akash Baruch Hu has two faces. One for Rishayim, one for Tzadikim. For the Tzadikim, he's smiling, kaviyachol. And he prolongs their schar. He doesn't give it to them right away. He waits until Olam Haba, where it's the true schar. For the Rishayim, he doesn't give them a einish right away. He prolongs, he waits. Why? Says Taisvis, in order to give them an opportunity to do tshuva. It's a midas rachamim. We are going back to Eruvin. When Rabbi Yehuda says that you could enlarge pasibirais, the L-shaped brackets around the pit, the bar, up until 2 saw, we would think he probably means from L-shaped bracket to L-shaped bracket, a total of 2 saw, and the Gemara in fact says no. What he meant to say is the actual pit could be 2 saw. But in addition to that, you get 2 amas on each side so that you can have a roishe verubai, that an animal could fit in mostly into that area. And the reason is because when a person looks at the pit, he says, oh, if a pit could be up to 2 saw, so too can my karfav, which is an enclosed area outside of town, could be up to 2 saw. There's a brisa that brings the shita of Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, which seems to be identical to Rabbi Yehuda. We must say that the difference is that according to Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, you could have 2 saw, but it has to be exactly square, 70 2/3 by 70 2/3. According to Rabbi Yehuda, it can be a rectangle as well. Talking about Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, the Gemara says that he has a rule that if you have an area that's open and it's completely open, doesn't have a roof, however, it's tashmish l'dira, you use it for residential use. For instance, a deer, a sar, these are places that you enclose animals so they fertilize your field. One is temporary, one is permanent. Or muktzah, chotzer, these are backlots. Even if it's 10 core, 30 saw, much more than 2 saw, you could carry there. However, if you have a dira makura, you have a roof on it, and it's designed for the outside. In other words, like a watchtower. You're not in the tower for yourself to be in the tower. You want to look outside. You only have up to 2 saw that you can carry in. Says the Mishnah, if the public goes right through your pasibirais, according to review, that's a big problem. They'll destroy your halachic pasibirais. You have to tell them to reroute, go around. According to Chachamim, they don't have to go around. The public doesn't have the ability to be mevatel your pasibirais. Says Rabbi Elazar, we've had this the other day. He says, over here is where Chachamim told us how powerful these mechitzas are. The public cannot destroy them. And he himself holds like that. But Rabbi Yochanan, who said, this is where Chachamim say that pasibirais is so strong, he himself does not hold like that, as we see in the case that he says Yerushalayim, should the public has the ability to destroy the walls around Yerushalayim just by them walking through it in Rosh Hashanah. The fact is that there's doors, and now it becomes Rosh Hashanah. But in other words, the public does have the ability to destroy mechitzas. The famous Rabbi Yehuda, who says that if you have 2 houses on both sides of the Rosh Hashanah, all you need to do is put a kaira on both ends, or a lechi on 2 sides of one house, and then you can walk. What happened to Rosh Hashanah? Don't they destroy the mechitza? We must say, over here, since you have 2 proper walls, midaraisa, that's considered Rosh Hashanah. The lechi is just extra. What about Rabbanan? Rabbanan say that you cannot put a lechem kairi in Rosh Hashanah. It doesn't work. But they just said that the public does not have the ability to destroy your Rosh Hashanah. And the answer is because this Rosh Hashanah does not look like an enclosed area, whereas a passive arise, when you have 4 L-shaped brackets, it's very defined and it looks like an enclosed area. Rabbi Yochanan said a statement. He said, "There's no Rosh Hashanah in Eretz Yisrael." Comes Abaye and explains what he meant. He doesn't mean literally there's no Rosh Hashanah. He meant to say the extreme hills in Yerushalayim the public cannot destroy them, and that's only in Eretz Yisrael because it's not like the Diglei Midbar. It's not like the Midbar. The Midbar had flat terrain, and that's where the Rosh Hashanah was. But only in Eretz Yisrael, which is similar to the Diglei Midbar, if it's not flat terrain, not Rosh Hashanah. And Rav Dimi was very impressed with Abaye. He called him Hakafna. You have a strong head. It's as if you were sitting there in front of Rabbi Yochanan as he said this, although Abaye wasn't in front of Rabbi Yochanan. The Gemara tells us, tell him slack it. If you have a rise to run, you have a mound of dirt that's 10 tfachim high, but it took it 4 amas to reach that height. So you have mechitzos that make a Rosh Hashanah. According to Rabbanan, the public doesn't have the ability to destroy those mechitzos. They don't even have the ability to destroy a flat surface on a passive rise, certainly not on a hill, which is much more difficult to climb. According to Rabbi Yehuda, even if it's very difficult to use, the public has the ability to be mevatel those mechitzos halachically. Even if it's so difficult to climb that you would need to hold onto a rope, and you can only go one by one up this incline, it's very narrow and very steep. According to Rabbi Yehuda, the public has the ability to destroy those mechitzos. And that's dafka and chutz laaretz. But in Eretz Yisrael it's different because the Gemara says Yeshua oyev Yisrael, Yeshua ben Nun loved Klal Yisrael, and any steep terrain that wasn't roi, it wasn't appropriate to give to the public, he gave it over to the individuals, and therefore the public doesn't have the ability to destroy those mechitzos. And even Rabbi Yehuda would agree in that case in Eretz Yisrael that the public doesn't have the ability to destroy the mechitzos. The Gemara tells us that there's 2 types of mechitzos. There's a chutzner that many people walk through. So on the one hand, it's a Rosh Hashanah because it's a chutzner. On the other hand, it's a Rosh Hashanah because people go through. So for carrying, it's a Rosh Hashanah. For tumah halachas, it's a Rosh Hashanah. The same thing would apply if there's a mavoi and it's completely open on both ends and there's a pit at one end, but the public could go around. So it's a Rosh Hashanah and a Rosh Hashanah. The same thing, Shvilei Beis Gilgal. It's a path that a slave cannot carry a sav chitim even if they hit him. So it's a Rosh Hashanah and Rosh Hashanah. According to Rabbanan, the chiddush is that it's a Rosh Hashanah, it remains a Rosh Hashanah, even though it's a Rosh Hashanah. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, since the public goes through, it's a complete Rosh Hashanah. Have a wonderful day.